Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Alien The Legend Shooter 2. Alien Shooter 2 The Legend. So, what is it? Well, it is a top-down, very simplistic shoot-'em-up game, basically, with some looting and gear upgrading, weaponry management elements. But it's mostly just a shooter. There's very little elements to RPG or tactics or anything along those lines. There's a bit of a story to it, but it's mostly irrelevant. It's at its core just a shooter, very much in the vein of Alien Shooter, the first one, which, in its time, was pretty darn good. Right? But in its time being the key word there. So let's go to the settings menu really quickly and take a look. Sound and music, we're going to actually turn down a little bit. This is the graphics menu, all is well. And actually I'm going to turn this on. I think it will provide for a slightly more engaging viewing experience. Now, I'm going to continue the game from where I left off, which is, I think, roughly 40 minutes to an hour in. And, yeah, let's... okay, so, where to begin? Let's start with the most, I guess, important thing, the elephant in the room. That is the shooting and the combat itself. And, well, you'd expect Alien Shooter to get the alien shooting on point, right? Except it sort of, kind of doesn't. The shooting is... we'll get into it. Let's just... yeah, sure, you're gonna... yeah, okay, there we go. Let's get into a mission. And then, we'll learn everything that we need to learn. The shooting's a little bit unsatisfactory. Partially because of the weapons, which... it's just... for a 2020 or a 2019, because, you know, we're still in early 2020... game, they just don't feel satisfactory enough. You don't feel like there's a weight behind the shots and the gun, the various guns that you can pick up, and it just doesn't feel all that satisfactory. But on a more easily described level, let's say, the shooting's a bit clunky. So I don't know if it's the same if I were to play this on like oh, what's the word? A twin or a gamepad, but keyboard and mouse, it's just a little bit clunky. Now, part of it is by design, part of it isn't. So let's get into why exactly that's so. So this is how the sort of shooting process is resolved. You have your character on the screen and the way and the location, I guess, and the direction he's pointing his gun at, right? I think it's a lot more easily visible with rapid-firing weapons like this Uzi, so I'm going to switch to it to demonstrate. I'm going to take some time explaining this because it's honestly the most important and by far the most vital part of the game, because everything else revolves pretty much around you having fun shooting a bunch of aliens. Everything else is just a cherry on top. But the shooting isn't that great. So, where your character is pointing and where the bullets are going to go aren't exactly the same thing. Now, this is somewhat deliberate. Not all the guns are perfectly accurate. However, there is also a sort of 3D-ish element to it. And that is, I can shoot in front of my legs, I can shoot 5 feet ahead of me, or I can shoot all the way to the end of the screen. This isn't necessarily needed in a 2D game like this one. If I'm shooting in this general direction, why not just have the shot go all the way to the end of the screen and hit something along the way? If it hits, good. If it doesn't, then have it just, you know, hit the edge of the screen and that's it. Or go past it until it finds something to hit, or I, you know, run out of range. That way you could play a fun little game of which gun do I pick now, because, you know, maybe the Uzi's great at short range, but maybe halfway to the end of the screen the rounds will disappear and do no damage. Right? It'll add sort of naturally this element of yeah, no, I guess kind of difficulty, but more so dynamics than anything else, right? The way things are right now, it's just clunky because you need to point exactly where you want to shoot, and this wouldn't be a terrible thing were it not for the fact that the bullets don't exactly go where you aim them due to the accuracy, which is realistic, but in a game like this, on a short range, you know, encounter like this one, where you can only shoot a few meters ahead of you, yeah, it doesn't provide the most satisfactory feeling, nor the most sensible one. And yet, there's another slight issue with it. Where you're pointing the cursor is not necessarily where the character will shoot. Stuff like items between, and I'm not talking about walls, I'm talking about straight up items, and stuff like, I don't know, kill 60 with a pistol, yeah, I should have done that, never mind. Stuff like, barrels, chests, etc., will get in the way of the bullets. So, even though you're aiming, let's explain it through here. Even though you're aiming, let's say, where the mouse cursor is over there, I'm probably going to be hitting those sandbags. Now, if that's the case, why not just have a more simpler 2D shooting system, whereby I'm shooting over there, there's a laser between here and where I'm hitting, and if there's something in the way like the sandbags, I'm going to hit the sandbags. If not, I'm going to hit there, right? So you're sort of adding to gameplay elements that combat one another rather than working together one with the other, if that makes sense. It's a lot more clearer if you pick up the game and try it, and then you'll sort of see what I'm talking about, because it's a very vague thing to try and explain, but it's basically how it works, right? Now, I start off usually these videos with the positives, right? So what's good about the game, what do I like about it, etc., and then go on to the negatives. Here, I can't do that because the basic core of the game is, you know, shoot the aliens. The reality of the situation is a little bit different. Yes, the basic core of the game, so that makes the reality of the situation a little bit different. I need to start with that. Right. Let's go over to the good things. The amount of content in the game. There is quite a bit for you to do here. And I do mean quite a bit for you to do. Various missions are sort of semi-open, well, it's not really an open world. You go from mission to mission, basically, and personal preference would have been a more open world, rather than this sort of, almost dungeon crawling-esque type thing, where you go from one place to the next, finishing objectives, and then, you go back to base, or you're teleported back to your base, and then, you know, go on the next quest. I would have preferred a more open world, where you can do this sort of by meeting characters in said open world, sort of connecting the levels, rather than teleporting you between them, but that's more of a personal preference, and there is a good and bad side to both of those. You know, in one you're going to do a lot of backtracking, here it's more focused, provides more action, I suppose, more immediate action, less downtime, etc., etc. It's a little bit more convenient as well. It's a whole thing, right? Not that it matters too much. It doesn't influence the game all that much. So, there is also a substantial amount of things you can upgrade. You can buy and sell equipment, there's... Oh. I thought the laser was gonna... I thought I had a laser. Apparently I don't. I have a shock thing. Can I change it? Maybe back at base. Okay. So, anyways, you can see there's an active button, there's different weaponry, tons of different weaponry, grenades, you have to manage your supplies, you have to manage your medkits, which I think is a quite intriguing little gameplay element, were it not for the fact that there's tons of the bloody things and they're relatively cheap. So, yeah, that's a bit of a missed opportunity there in my opinion, but maybe later down the game that does become more of a problem. But somehow the sort of these things, the way the difficulty scales in these games usually is health gets easier and easier to grab, and you get more and more equipment rather than less. But anyways, you know, minor issue there. There is a ton of content. There is a lot of just raw amount of stuff that you can do in the game, raw amount of quests, and yeah. So overall, you won't be exactly famished for content. Not necessarily. And if you want a bit of an extra challenge, the game does provide that with these additional requests, I suppose, for the various missions. So, I'm supposed to actually go this way. Speaking of, another good thing about the game is it is rather generous with the amount of information it gives you. So it'll pretty much tell you where you need to go and why, and how you're supposed to achieve, you know, said reaching of goal. You're also going to find a load of item drops, from the most common and random enemies to quest rewards and stuff like that. Are going to be pretty darn interesting as well. So there we go, perfect mission right there. Good. So overall, you know, there's a lot to like about the game, but there's a few problems as well. So assist in defending outposts south of the monsters. Let's do that. South of the monsters? That's not what that said, but never mind. Sure, we will assist. There's these arrows on the ground that basically tell you where you need to go. Hi. Did I really need that? Did you really need to tell me I need to go this way? Actually, I could have just gone this way. Yeah, you know. It's not ideal, but it's not bad. Visually, however, the game sort of disappoints me a little bit. And here's why I'm going to bring up Alien Shooter. Not Alien Shooter, sorry. Give me a second. I suppose I could bring up Alien Shooter, but the game I was thinking about was Alien Swarm. Alien Swarm is a free-to-play game on Steam where you and 4 of your mates, so there's multiplayer there, you can play it single player as well with AI, go through a map. Now, the map is a lot larger than you see the missions here, and you basically have similar things. You have different weapons, different characters, different abilities, sort of in this vein as well, except the game is a little bit more futuristic, unlike spaceships and refineries and stuff like that. Refineries in space or on different planets and stuff like that. Quite futuristic, and features a huge variety of aliens, just like this game does, except it's free to play, and you can play it with your friends. The way things are, at least to my mind right now, that game just executed everything this game is trying to execute, and just did it better. Yeah. You see the issue, and then that one's free to play as well. And also, it has, like, no pay-to-win elements. Mostly because it's a PvE game, but, you know, that said, I haven't played it in a while, so I imagine there's even more content in it now, but there's so many things you can do there, but they all basically revolve around the same thing as this one, which is go around and shoot aliens. For free. Alien Swarm, in my opinion, and this, you know, take it as subjective as you want, but I think I have a point here, did everything this game was supposed to do, just did it slightly better. The shooting is sort of how I described I would like it to be, in that, you know, there's a laser coming out of your, there's a laser sight basically coming out of your weapon, and you shoot towards the end of the screen, essentially, until you hit something or someone. Yeah, so there's various missions, there's various difficulty options. You can make the game very easy, you can make the game insanely difficult, and that'll require a lot of cooperation with your allies, or if you want to solo it, you can make it a little bit easier so the AI doesn't bother you too much. So that, yeah, especially like here it bothers me a lot. See, there's trees in the way. I can't shoot that thing, so I'm shooting there. Actually, I'm trying to hit over there, but never mind, I'm hitting the trees. The hitboxes are also off. You can't actually go between these two trees. It looks like you can, right? And then there's also the camera, which tends to hide items from you, because if the thing drops there, you're not going to be able to see it until you walk right next to it. It has its problems. it has its problems, and for $10, I'm not gonna let it, you know, let it off scot-free because it's cheap, because there's free-to-play games that did similar things. If you're going to produce Alien Shooter 2, you need to produce it so that it's an upgrade from Alien Shooter 1 in, you know, multiple ways, right? Is this game that? Not really. Not really, I'm afraid. So, yeah. And the AI isn't all that great either, which is, I think, the most, how do I put this, defeating thing about it. They have trouble with pathfinding. I mean, these guys, I believe, are trying to find a way through, but, you know, poor them, there is no way through. But, like, especially, you saw that in the trees back there as well. They're having trouble reaching me through the trees. I don't blame them, I am too, but it's a testament to the level design more than anything else, right? But yeah. Anyways, be that as it may, the game still does have quite a bit to offer. It's just that it, you know, what it does offer comes with a certain amount of reservations, I suppose, that are required on your part. And yeah, overall, visually, also, I started to talk about this and then veered off topic. Visually, it's not the most impressive thing in the world either. For a 2020 game, I mean, there is a certain charm to this sort of old-school look to the game, and, you know, there are those, I assume, that will love this and prefer it to a more, I guess, visually vivid and detailed look. Then fair enough, you get used to it, it's not like it's bothering me or anything. You get used to it, but it's just, I can't recommend that. I mean, there's also these tiny little annoying things in between that, like, you get stuck on a box or a wrench or something. Obviously, it needs to be a bit bigger than a wrench, but you know what I mean. Like there, you get stuck. Say, okay, this is actually well done now, so that it doesn't get you stuck. But yeah, you see, like, walk to an edge of a bed or something, and you get stuck on it. I can't demonstrate it here because that's not the issue here, but occasionally there's those hitbox issues that pop up here and there. So yeah, game's not terrible. Take a look at it for yourself if you want, but do I recommend it ultimately at the end of the day? Not really. Not really. Like I said, Alien Swarm to me is just everything this is trying to be except better, and I would give that a go. And if you like that, you know, stick with it. You're not going to find anything that's that different or that superior over in this game. But yeah, that's about it. Let's show actually one more thing, and this is where you upgrade your weapons and buy things, and yeah. I'm assuming I'm going to unlock more stuff as I go down the line, but seriously? Like, that's it? Come on. Obviously, there's different types of weapons, tons of them. There's also different stats for each weapon, which I applaud the game for doing that. I think that's a great thing indeed. So let's switch out to the shotgun, I suppose. I don't like these, I'm going to sell these. Armor, I think this one's better than one, though it does offer less protection. Oh, sorry, offers more protection, but there's less durability on it. And it provides less protection. Provides more protection. Provides more protection, there's more durability, provides less mobility compared to the previous one. I think I just mucked that up horribly for the first few times. I'll keep a pistol because there's a few missions where you need to use that. And we'll sell these. Alright. Can I buy anything remotely cool? I'm not gonna buy this thing. Yeah, you know what, let's buy it. Let's buy it just to test it out. So this is one of the cooler weapons, I suppose. Let's give this one a shot. Sure. Now, this is my favourite part of the game, where you're alone, indoors with a flashlight. It really is great. Really, really is great. But it doesn't save the game. It creates sort of a nice atmosphere in it. I really enjoy it, but it still doesn't save the game from everything else that's not so terrific, right? I like the railgun, though. I really like the railgun. Oh, I probably should have mentioned this. The game does have unlimited ammunition. I was assuming. Yeah. And the little robot following you around is a nice feature. It provides a little bit of protection, helps you out. Doesn't make things so damn lonely, but, you know. I really like the laser active as well. I didn't try up until now. Adds a little bit more variety to the combat. That's good, you know. Enemy variety is pretty damn alright too. There's, you know, you won't go for long without encountering a new one towards the beginning, and then, you know, later down the line, obviously that balances out with various encounters. So, holy hell, right? That is very cool. That is very cool. So there are these cool moments, but again, you get this in Alien Swarm, and there's I feel like this video is turning into just a promotion for Alien Swarm. You know, if there's interest, I'll showcase that game off as well, because it's sort of been forgotten a little bit by the general community. So yeah, maybe I'll take a look at it if the video does well. Anyways, that's pretty much it for now. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Like, subscribe down below if you enjoyed the video and want to stay tuned with the rest of the content I produce on the channel. Until next time, however, my name is Juggernaut. Have fun, take care, and bye-bye.